My name is Flora Stewart, and I'm the woman who turned a working-class Chicago upbringing into a name that Chicago's elite whisper with respect. I built Stewart Events from nothing, turning my knack for orchestrating perfection into a business that plans the city's most glamorous galas, weddings, and corporate affairs. But this story isn't about my success, at least not the kind you'd expect. It's about the night I walked away from a family that tried to break me, only to find they'd handed me the key to my freedom. It all started in London, at a dinner meant to celebrate my mother-in-law's 60th birthday, where I found myself staring at a table with no place for me. Growing up on Chicago's South Side, I learned early that nothing comes easy. My mother, a nurse who worked double shifts to keep food on the table, taught me resilience. She'd come home exhausted, her hands rough from sanitizing wipes, yet she'd still sit with me over instant coffee, dreaming about the life I could build. "You're sharp, Flora," she'd say, her eyes tired but fierce. "Don't let anyone make you feel small." Those words stuck with me through high school, through business school on scholarships, and through the sleepless nights when I launched Stewart Events. I started small birthday parties, community fundraisers, but my attention to detail and ability to make the impossible happen caught the right eyes. Soon, I was planning society weddings and corporate retreats, my invisible fingerprints on every flawless moment. That's how I met Emmett Warwick. It was at a charity gala I'd organized for a children's hospital, the kind of event where Chicago's wealthiest mingle under chandeliers, pretending their generosity isn't also a status play. Emmett stood out, not just because of his tailored suit or the way his dark hair fell just so, but because of the genuine curiosity in his green eyes when he approached me. "You're the one who made this happen?" he asked, gesturing to the ballroom, its tables draped in silk, fairy lights twinkling like stars. "My mother's been looking for someone to plan her foundation's next event. I think you're it." Emmett was a Warwick, part of a family whose real estate empire shaped Chicago's skyline. Old money, the kind that doesn't need to flaunt itself because it's woven into the city's history. Think steel and railroads, now skyscrapers and condos. He had the easy charm of someone who'd never worried about a bill, but there was something real in the way he listened when I talked about my work. One job for his mother, Harlow, led to another, and soon I was the go-to planner for the Warwick family's events. Harlow was polished, her smile sharp as a blade, always dressed in understated elegance. Think Chanel, never flashy. But her approval came with a catch. "You've done well for yourself, Flora," she'd say, her tone implying my success was a cute surprise, like a child who'd colored inside the lines. I ignored the digs because Emmett seemed different. He'd show up at my tiny office with coffee, asking about my day, not just my plans for his family's next gala. Our romance bloomed over late-night talks about dreams, mine to grow my business, his to carve his own path in the Warwick Empire. But there were signs I chose to overlook. The way Harlow's eyes lingered on me, assessing, the way Emmett's sister, Lauren, would steer conversations to family traditions I wasn't part of, the whispers at dinners about my humble roots. When Emmett proposed under a canopy of stars I'd arranged for a client's engagement party, I said yes, believing love could bridge the gap between my world and his. Our wedding was the event of the season, naturally. I planned it myself, unable to trust another planner with something so personal. Harlow had opinions too modern, too bold, but I held my ground where it mattered. Emmett played mediator, but I noticed he never fully challenged his mother. After the wedding, the Warwick's subtle slights became a pattern. They'd use Stewart Events for their galas, then question my choices, or take credit for my ideas. At family dinners, my opinions were brushed off. "Flora's so creative," Harlow would say, patting my hand like I was a pet project. "It's like having our own little planner in the family." Emmett would shrug it off later, saying, "That's just how she is. Don't take it personally." But it was personal. It always was. The chance to plan Harlow's 60th birthday in London should have been my moment to shine. A week-long celebration in one of the world's most sophisticated cities, ending with a dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant overlooking the Thames. It was the kind of project that could cement my reputation globally. I threw myself into it, leveraging every contact, from London florists to private tour guides. But as the planning intensified, I started noticing cracks in the Warwick facade. Payments were delayed, vendors called about unpaid deposits, and Emmett brushed it off as accounting issues. Then, one morning, while he was in the shower, his phone lit up with a message from Rachel, his college girlfriend, the one Harlow had always adored. "Can't wait to see you in London. Have you told her yet?" My heart stopped. I opened the thread, my fingers moving on instinct, and found months of messages, plans, promises, and a baby due in 4 months. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I took screenshots, sent them to myself, and deleted the evidence from his phone. I packed my bags, put on a smile, and boarded the flight to London with Emmett and his family. My mind racing, but my face a mask of calm. They thought they could control the narrative, orchestrate my exit. They had no idea I was about to rewrite the ending. London was supposed to be my triumph, the city where I'd prove I belonged, not just to Emmett, but to the Warwick family and the world they moved in. I'd spent months planning Harlow's 60th birthday, every detail a testament to my skill. Private tours of Buckingham Palace, a lunch at a Kent vineyard, a yacht cruise along the Thames, and the grand finale, a dinner at the river's edge, a Michelin-starred restaurant with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing London's glittering skyline. But as our plane touched down at Heathrow, the golden afternoon light painting the city, I carried a secret heavier than my luggage: Emmett's betrayal, Rachel's pregnancy, and a family plan to cast me out. The Warwick entourage, Harlow and her husband, Richard, Emmett's sister, Lauren, with her husband, Greg, his brother, Daniel, with his wife, Sophie, and a gaggle of aunts and uncles, stepped off the plane into a convoy of sleek black Bentleys I'd arranged. I'd expected at least a nod of appreciation, but Harlow's first words were a jab. "I thought I'd requested the Savoy's cars, Flora," she said, her tone crisp as she surveyed the vehicles. "These seem a bit standard." I swallowed my retort. "The Savoy had a scheduling conflict," I explained. "These are from elite transport, used by half the diplomats in London." She was already turning away, whispering to Richard, their heads bent in that exclusive way that always left me on the outside. At the Langham, the 5-star hotel I'd chosen for its old-world charm, I'd arranged everything: suites with views of Regent Street, welcome baskets of Fortnum and Mason treats, personalized itineraries for each guest. Champagne flowed in the private lounge as bellhops whisked away luggage, but Harlow barely glanced at her schedule before tossing it aside. "We'll figure it out as we go," she said, waving off months of work. "The family knows London well." Emmett's phone buzzed as we entered our suite, a sprawling space with a balcony overlooking the city. He stepped outside, his voice low, claiming it was work. I didn't ask. I already knew it was Rachel. The first night's welcome dinner at a cozy Mayfair bistro set the tone for what was to come. I'd planned a perfect evening, candlelit tables, a menu of British classics, but when we arrived, the seating had somehow shifted. I found myself at the table's edge, separated from Emmett by Lauren and an aunt. The family traded stories of past London trips, laughing over memories I wasn't part of. When I tried to join in, suggesting a visit to the Tate Modern, Lauren cut me off. "Oh, we're doing a family shopping day in Knightsbridge tomorrow instead of your museum tour," she said. "You'd find it dull, Flora. Why don't you check on the birthday plans? That's your thing." The pattern grew as Stuart over the next few days. I'd wake to find Emmett gone, a note about meeting Dad for breakfast. The family vanished on impromptu outings, tea at Claridge's, a stroll through Hyde Park, always forgetting to invite me. Whispers stopped when I entered the hotel lobby. Dinner plans changed to include old friends who eyed me like I was a puzzle they couldn't solve. Each slight stung, but the real blow came on the third morning. Emmett left his briefcase open while rushing to meet Daniel, and I found it, a folder with divorce papers, dated months earlier, offering me a fraction of what I deserved. Worse, a typed script outlined how Emmett would announce our mutual split at Harlow's birthday dinner, framing it as my choice to leave. It was a performance designed to erase me with minimal scandal. My hands shook as I photographed every page. This wasn't just betrayal, it was a calculated public execution of my place in their world. Harlow's birthday wasn't a celebration. It was my exit stage left. But instead of crumbling, I felt a fire ignite. I'd spent years proving myself, building a business from nothing, and I wasn't about to let the Warwicks write my story. I kept up appearances, confirming floral arrangements, meeting with the restaurant manager, approving menu cards, all while collecting evidence. Bank statements in Emmett's email showed massive withdrawals to offshore accounts. A note from Harlow to Emmett read, "Once Flora's out, Rachel will fit right back in." The Warwicks were crumbling financially, hiding assets to protect their image, and I was the scapegoat. I didn't confront Emmett. I smiled through dinners, nodded at Harlow's suggestions, and let them think I was clueless. Each night, alone in our suite, I built my case, screenshots, documents, emails, knowing the birthday dinner would be their undoing. I wasn't just planning an event anymore. I was planning my escape. The morning of Harlow's 60th birthday broke bright over London, the kind of crisp day that makes the city feel alive. I slipped out of bed before Emmett stirred, my mind already racing. Today was the culmination of months of work, a private tour of the National Gallery, lunch at a vineyard in Kent, and the grand dinner at the river's edge. As the event planner, I had to be at the restaurant early, but I had another task first, confirming the Warwicks' betrayal. In the hotel's business center, printing final vendor confirmations, I overheard Harlow's voice through the thin wall by the concierge desk. 12 seats, not 13, she said sharply into the phone. The seating chart I sent is final. No, my daughter-in-law won't be staying. A family matter. My blood ran cold. The missing seat wasn't a mistake. It was the centerpiece of their plan to humiliate me, to make my exit look like my choice. I gathered my papers, my hands steady despite the storm inside. Back in our suite, I checked my phone. Every piece of evidence was secure. The divorce script, the offshore account statements, the emails about hiding assets. I'd spent days documenting their deceit, using my access as their planner to uncover their financial house of cards. The Warwicks' real estate empire was crumbling. Failed developments, maxed out loans, properties mortgaged to the hilt. They'd used my company's credit line to secure deposits, assuming I'd never notice. But I had. And I was ready. I kept my professional mask on, meeting with florists to confirm Harlow's favorite lilies, checking the restaurant's 7-course menu, ensuring the 3-tiered cake was perfect. When anyone noticed my quiet focus, I blamed last-minute details. In truth, I was building an arsenal. The family spent the day on their planned outings, forgetting to include me again. Emmett left early with his father, leaving a note about business. I used the time to make calls, confirming cancellation policies with vendors. My company's name was on every contract, giving me the power to unravel their plans. At the hotel, I dressed in a sapphire blue gown I'd chosen for tonight, its sleek lines a quiet rebellion against the Warwicks' understated elegance. My reflection stared back, eyes sharp with resolve. 5 years of trying to fit into their world had worn me down, but it had also taught me strength. They thought they could erase me, but they'd underestimated the woman who'd built a business from nothing. I arrived at the river's edge an hour early, inspecting every detail, the hand-calligraphed place cards, the crystal centerpieces, the view of the Thames shimmering under the city lights. The manager, Clara, a contact I'd worked with before, nodded approvingly. "Perfect, Miss Stewart," she said. I smiled, knowing this was my last event for the Warwicks. Back at the hotel, I joined the family in the lobby. Harlow, in a cream Dior dress, her diamond earrings glinting, gave me a perfunctory air kiss. "You look nice, Flora," she said, her tone implying it was a pleasant surprise. Emmett's eyes lingered on me, a flicker of something, guilt, maybe, before he looked away. The drive to the restaurant was filled with their chatter about the day's outings, none of which I'd been invited to. Emmett's hand rested on my back as we entered the elevator to the restaurant's rooftop, a gesture that once felt warm but now felt like a prop in their play. The rooftop was a vision, tables draped in white linen, candles flickering, the Thames sparkling below. The family clapped as Harlow entered, their faces glowing with self-congratulation. I followed, my heels clicking on the polished floor, and approached the round table meant for 13. My heart sank, though I'd known what to expect. No place card, no chair, no trace of me. The staff, who'd confirmed the seating with me earlier, avoided my eyes. Harlow's voice cut through the chatter, feigning surprise. Is something wrong, Flora? Every head turned, their expressions a mix of amusement and pity. I took a breath, my voice steady. There seems to be a mistake. My place is missing. Emmett half stood, his face a mask of concern. That's odd, he said, glancing at the table. Lauren chimed in. Did we miscount? Richard coughed, muttering about a mix-up. Then Emmett delivered his line, right on cue, with a chuckle that made my skin crawl. Oops, guess we miscounted. The family's laughter was soft, practiced, an inside joke I was never meant to understand. In that moment, I saw their plan clearly, a public humiliation, staged to make me the one who walked away, preserving their image while discarding me. I stood there, the Thames glittering behind me, the Warwick family's laughter ringing in my ears. Emmett's oops, guess we miscounted, was the final straw, a line delivered with the casual cruelty of someone who thought he'd already won. Harlow's smile was triumphant, Richard's eyes darted uncomfortably, and Lauren's smirk told me she was enjoying the show. The staff hovered, unsure, while other diners glanced our way. This was their moment, their carefully staged exit for the wife who never belonged. But I wasn't going to give them the scene they expected. I straightened, my sapphire gown catching the candlelight, and looked at each face around the table. Guess I'm not family, I said, my voice calm but sharp, cutting through their laughter like a knife. The smiles faltered. Emmett's eyes widened, a flicker of uncertainty breaking his composure. Harlow's hand tightened on her wineglass. I didn't wait for their scripted responses. I'll see myself out, I added, turning on my heel. Emmett called after me. Flora, don't be dramatic. We can fix this. But his voice was hollow, part of their playbook. I kept walking, nodding to Clara, the manager, who looked torn but stayed silent. Outside, the cool London air hit my face, steadying me. I crossed the street to a small cafe, its windows offering a perfect view of the river's edge. I ordered a black coffee, my hand steady now, and pulled out my phone. This was it, the moment I'd prepared for since I saw Rachel's text. The Warwicks thought they'd humiliated me, but they'd handed me the stage. I opened my event management app, my fingers moving with the precision of years spent orchestrating perfection. First, I emailed Clara, attaching proof of my authority as the event coordinator and confirming the immediate reversal of all payments. Then, I called the Kent Vineyard, the private Westminster Abbey guide, the Thames yacht captain, the Cotswolds Manor for the week's final stay. One by one, I canceled every arrangement, redirecting the deposits back to Stewart Events' account. Each call was a weight lifted. The vendors, used to my professionalism, didn't question me. My company's credit line had secured their trust, and now it secured my freedom. Emmett's texts started pouring in, first annoyed, then frantic. Where are you? This isn't funny, Flora. Call me now. I ignored them, sipping my coffee, my eyes on the restaurant. 25 minutes after I'd walked out, I sent Clara a text. Proceed. From my seat, I watched her approach the Warwick table, 2 staff members at her side. She leaned down to Richard, showing him something on a tablet. His face shifted, confusion then alarm. The family's chatter stopped, forks paused midair. Harlow set down her glass, her posture stiffening. Emmett was staring at his phone, likely reading my final text. All deposits returned to Stewart Events. All arrangements cancelled. Your family's financial troubles are now public. Enjoy the view. Richard stood, his voice rising, gesturing at Clara. Harlow clutched her diamond earrings, her face paling. Lauren whispered furiously to Greg, while Daniel checked his phone, probably seeing the cancellation confirmations I'd forwarded. Emmett sat frozen, his polished charm gone, replaced by the dawning realization of what I'd done. I stepped back into the restaurant through a side entrance, meeting Clara near the kitchen. Are you sure, Miss Stewart? She asked, her voice low. This is unusual. I handed her an envelope with the cancellation documents. I'm certain, Clara. Thank you for your discretion. She nodded, our years of working together, ensuring her loyalty. I moved to a shadowed corner with a clear view of the table. The first course, caviar Harlow had insisted on, was half-eaten. Clara approached again, speaking to the whole table now. Other diners turned, sensing drama. Richard pulled out his wallet, then froze, shaking his head. Harlow's voice rose, sharp but unsteady. Emmett stood, nearly toppling his chair, and stepped away, dialing my number. I answered, keeping my voice even. Flora, what the hell are you doing? He hissed, panic breaking through his usual calm. Guess I'm not family, I said, echoing my earlier words. So, I'm not responsible for family celebrations. You need to fix this, he demanded. Do you know how humiliating this is? I know exactly how it feels, Emmett, I replied. That's the point. I told him I'd seen the financial statements, the offshore accounts, the divorce script, Rachel's texts. His silence was deafening. You've ruined us, he finally whispered. No, I said. You did that yourselves. I hung up, stepping forward as the family noticed me. Harlow's eyes blazed. How dare you ruin my birthday, she snapped. I smiled, calm as ever. I learned from you, Harlow. A public exit, perfectly staged. I just changed the script. Richard stood, red-faced. You had no right. Every right, I countered. Every contract was in my name. And I have proof of your hidden assets, your fraud. The IRS will love it. Their faces drained of color, the truth sinking in. I turned, walking away for good, the Thames sparkling behind me, a city that had witnessed my fall now, watching my rise. I left London the next morning, my first-class ticket to Chicago, a quiet indulgence, paid for with points from years of planning Warwick events. The irony wasn't lost on me. Behind me, the Warwick family scrambled, their perfect facade cracking. Through a contact at the Langham, I learned they'd paid for the dinner with Harlow's heirloom bracelet as collateral, a desperate move until a wire transfer came through. Word spread fast in London's hospitality circles. Vendors demanded upfront payments, wary of the Warwick's financial difficulties. My phone buzzed with their messages during my layover in Dublin. Richard threatening lawsuits, Lauren calling me a disgrace, Daniel warning of consequences. Harlow's was the sharpest. I always knew you didn't belong. This proves it. Emmett's texts told the real story. Father's in the hospital. Stress. Is this what you wanted? The board's pulling out. The hotel's demanding payment upfront. Finally, a plea. Flora, please. We need to talk. It's bigger than us now. I didn't respond. I forwarded my evidence, bank statements, emails, the divorce script, to my lawyer, with instructions to hold them unless the Warwicks tried to drag me down. Back in Chicago, I moved out of our Gold Coast penthouse, taking only what was mine, clothes, jewelry I'd bought, a few books I loved. The rest, wedding gifts, shared art, I left behind, wanting no ties to their world. I settled into a small loft in Wicker Park, paid for with Stewart Events profits, a space that felt like mine. The Boston Globe's equivalent in Chicago, the Tribune, ran a brief story. Warwick Realty faces investor scrutiny. It wasn't front page, but it rippled through the city's elite, enough to shake their circle. Emmett showed up at my loft a week later, unshaven, his usual polish gone. You need to come back, he said, stepping inside uninvited. This has gone too far. This isn't a game, Emmett, I replied, crossing my arms. This is divorce. He slumped onto my couch, head in his hands. The SEC's digging into Dad's accounts. Clients are pulling out. Mother canceled her foundation's gala. Sounds like a Warwick problem, I said, my voice steady. He tried to argue our shared debts, but I cut him off. I have proof you hid assets to cheat me in the divorce. My lawyer says that protects me. His eyes widened, defeat settling in. I loved you, Flora, he said softly. In the beginning. Not enough to choose me over your family, I countered. Or Rachel. When's the baby due? He flinched. For months, he admitted. I nodded, feeling nothing but clarity. Congratulations. He offered a deal. Money, an NDA, anything to keep the documents private. But he still didn't get it. I didn't want their money. I wanted my life back, my truth acknowledged. The documents stay with my lawyer, I said, opening the door. Don't drag me into your mess. He left, the Chicago rain falling hard outside. Over the next weeks, the Warwick empire unraveled. The Tribune ran a bigger story on their financial woes. Harlow stepped back from her charity boards. Rachel's pregnancy hit the society pages when she was spotted with an engagement ring, the timeline exposing Emmett's infidelity. Chicago's elite whispered, but their code of discretion didn't extend to such public messes. Stewart events, meanwhile, soared. Clients who once saw me as the help now valued my integrity. I turned down Harlow's desperate bid to plan her next gala, citing a full schedule. The divorce was finalized quietly. The Warwicks, too busy saving face, agreed to my terms. Emmett and Rachel married, their daughter born soon after. I sent no gift. Months later, I stood on a Paris terrace, planning a celebrity wedding on the Seine. The city sparkled below, and I felt something I hadn't in years: joy. The Warwicks had tried to make me small, to write me out of their story. Instead, they'd freed me to write my own. That missing chair in London wasn't my shame, it was my salvation. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, heartbreak, and triumph. If this story hit home, please hit subscribe and join us, where every moment tells a tale of courage, truth, and new beginnings. Keep chasing your own story, and I'll see you at the next table.